So when we live our lives, we feel we have to plan, we have to do. Somewhere though we've read so much, attended so many talks where we are constantly reminded that something bigger than us is the real doer, somewhere we always feel when we live, we feel as if we are the doers, and we feel as if in the moment we forget life is unfolding as part of a plan, right? That's why we have an anxiety. Will it go this way? Will it go the way I want it to? Will it not? Because we constantly forget that what Sri Aurobindo says and what we keep coming back to, there's a meaning in every curve and line. That not even a leaf falls from the tree without the higher sanction. So if we just look back on our lives, each of us, we'll be just completely amazed at the intricate planning that brought us to this moment. When things were painful, just the right amount of pain, just the right amount of rescue, just the right amount of everything. So if you really look back on your life and you see how intricately planned your life is, I think none of us can not feel gratitude for this, not for this or that, but just for this, as Sri Aurobindo says, something mightier than you is busy working out your life. So just gratitude for that everything in my life, every insult I got, every moment of praise, every success, every failure, it was all planned down to the minutest detail. So that's why the title of our talk today is The Rain of Grace, because grace is like a constant rain of unconditional love and goodwill, which is falling in all of us, in all our lives, and actually becoming what it falls into and then controlling what it's falling into from within. So we begin with this little poem, which is titled The Rain of Grace. It says, long you allowed this one is the poet, the vanity of a separate self. To think I'm separate from you, separate from grace is also a vanity, right? The I is the biggest vanity we have, and grace allows that. So the poet is saying, long you allowed this one, the vanity of a separate self, the self-imposed prison of an individual existence. To feel I'm separate from you is actually my prison. And it's self-imposed. Actually, I'm not separate from you, but I keep thinking I'm separate from you. Then was glimpsed the veiled mystic downpour. So then the poet saw that he was not separate from grace, that this veiled mystic downpour of grace, suddenly an inner vision opens and the poet sees that this constant rain of grace coming down on everything, drenching existence in a constant rain of grace. It's not intermittent, it's a constant rain of grace. Seen the abysmal unreality of that prison. Which prison? The prison of the separate existence. So when this rain of grace comes down and shows that everything is one continuum, seen the abysmal unreality of that prison. The I is humbled into emptiness. It empties itself of itself and discovers its impersonal fullness. Glimpse the mechanism of this occult rain, this hidden rain, doing all, moving all, intricately planning down to the leastest detail every unfolding of life. This one, that is the poet, can then do naught else than to sit still and bask in it. So when we shut our doors to seeing this rain of grace, then we live with fear, we live with uncertainty about the randomness of life. But when we see that there's this constant rain of grace coming down into everything, then I can let go of control. I can let go of wanting things to go my way only. I can let go of the need to be in my comfort zone all the time. And I can trust that if something, as Sri Aurobindo says, mightier than me is busy planning my life, then even if I'm momentarily uncomfortable with the unfolding of the plan, finally it's only going to take me where I need to go. So these are beautiful words of Sri Aurobindo on the divine will. This rain of grace is the mechanism that executes this divine will. So he says, behind this petty instrumental action of the human will, there is something vast and powerful and eternal that oversees the trend of the inclination and presses on the turn of the will. There is a total truth in nature greater than our individual choice. When we have an individual choice, we want life to work according to that. But Sri Aurobindo is telling us there is a total truth in nature greater than our individual choice. And in this total truth, or even beyond and behind it, there is something that determines all results. Its presence in secret knowledge keeps up steadily in the process of nature, a dynamic, almost automatic perception of the right relations, the varying or persistent necessities, the inevitable steps of the movement. There is a secret divine will, eternal and infinite, omniscient and omnipotent. This will is eternal. It's been there since the beginning of time. It's infinite. It's spread out everywhere. Omniscient, all-knowing, and omnipotent, all-powerful, that expresses itself in the universality and in each particular of all these apparently temporal and finite, inconscient or half-conscient things. So, supposing I speak to someone, I tell that person I want this, and the person says, no, you can't have it. My limited mind will start thinking, I don't deserve it, or the person's bad, he's withholding it from it. But a person anchored in the psychic will take the shortcut, won't go into all that. Will just say, okay, I've been denied this thing, it's mother's will. Because finally it's only the mother's will that gets executed in everything. And if we just think that, it makes life so simple. You don't start shrinking, you don't make yourself small, you don't make the other person small. It's mother's will. If I'm meant to get it, I don't have to fight with anyone. She's going to make sure I get it. If I don't get it, that's also her will. You remember last class we read Sri Aurobindo had written, even her rejections are only postponements. When she rejects, you don't get something. When her will says no to you getting something, she's just postponing it to you getting it in the right season, when you'll make the best use of it. So sometimes life becomes so simple if I constantly remember that whatever I get, it's her will. Whatever I don't get is also her will. I don't start making judgments and trying to figure out I got it because of this, I didn't get it because of that. It becomes so simple. So this divine will, this is a gem. Only Sri Aurobindo can write like this. This divine will is not an alien power or presence. He's telling you that this supreme will is not a will outside you. It is intimate to us and we ourselves are part of it. For it is our own highest self that possesses and supports it. Do you get it how beautiful this is? So we've established that there's a supreme will that is deciding every little detail of our life. Now Sri Aurobindo is saying that this will is not an alien power. It's not something outside you. It's the will of your own highest self. So at least, unless I'm a little warped in the mind, I can fear other people doing me wrong. But mostly I won't fear myself doing me wrong, no? All of us are selfish enough to do the best we can for ourselves. So Sri Aurobindo is saying that this will, which is deciding everything in your life, is not an alien power. It's you in your deepest, your highest self, that is deciding everything in your life. What do you mean?
Like it is you deciding everything. And how you say it's also?
Aspiration is just the urge in your deepest to reunite with your source. So aspiration, yes Mansi, thank you for pointing that out. Aspiration has a seed of the supreme will in it, surely.
It's an answer to the aspiration.
What is the answer to the aspiration?
The supreme will acting.
The supreme will comes to us as an aspiration also. It starts in us as an aspiration to fulfill its purpose. So, only it is not a conscious mental will. So, this supreme will is not a conscious mental will. It rejects often enough what our conscious will accepts and accepts what our conscious will rejects. So, our conscious will want success and reject failure. But this higher will, it's, remember, it's the will of your highest self which is all knowing. If it knows that you need the experience of failure, like just last Friday in school I was having conversation with a parent. Her daughter had been having streak after streak of good things happening to her, got a post, suddenly got a lot of friends, a lot of popularity, and this parent was telling me, but I'm so upset. She made so many careless mistakes in this particular subject paper and she only got a 60% when she's a 90% student. And the mother was getting hyper, and I told her, but do you realize? And she also told me that before this paper she was acting very arrogant. She was telling me, I know all the answers, I'm teaching all my friends, they don't know anything. So I said, do you realize that getting a 60% is also a grace? If life only did good for your daughter all the time, can you imagine what a person she'd turn out to be? So whenever we are going the wrong way in our arrogance or whatever, the Supreme will apply brakes to stop our arrogance. So that is also willed by our highest. But our mental will reject it. I worked so hard, I knew all the answers. Why did I get only a 60%? But that's what Sri Aurobindo is saying, that it is not a conscious mental will. It rejects often enough what our conscious will accepts, and accepts what our conscious will rejects. For while this secret one knows all and every whole and each detail, our surface mind knows only a little part of things. Our surface mind in this example is only focused on the fact that I knew everything. I'm cleverer than my friends. I could help them, but they got more marks than me. It's unfair. I'm only looking at that. But I'm not looking at the larger context where this not getting good marks is going to serve my purposes. For while this secret one knows all and every whole and each detail, our surface mind knows only a little part of things. Our will is conscious in the mind and what it knows. It knows by thought only. We only know by thought, not by the intuition of the whole. The divine will is superconscious to us because it's part of our superconscient. It is us, but in our superconscient aspect. Because it is in its essence supramental, above the mind, not in the range of our thinking. And it knows all because it is all. It is the rain of grace drenching all existence all the time. Our highest self, which possesses and supports this universal power, is not our ego self, not our personal nature. It is something transcendent and universal, of which these smaller things are only foam and flowing surface. So I come back to this example because it makes it more concrete. Apply it to a similar example in your life, because more or less we all are the same reaction to success and failure. So he's saying this will, which determines maybe that I'm putting myself in the girl's shoes, that I get a 60% when I'm a 90% student. It is something transcendent and universal, of which these smaller things, this thing where I'm thinking, oh, it's not fair, I taught my friends, they got more than me, only foam and flowing surface. If we surrender our conscious will, now this is the secret of Sri Aurobindo's yoga, but it takes a long time to even understand it really, and even longer to live it. We can understand it as an idea, but to really understand that it can be part of our life, very difficult. If we surrender our conscious will, that means to live every moment without preference. Will is preference, right? To live every moment without preference. That is surrendering our conscious will and allow it to be made one with the will of the eternal. Then and only then shall we attain to a true freedom. Because otherwise our preferences are our prison. Constantly hankering, I want this, I don't want this, I prefer this, I don't like this. It's like a prison of overthinking. We are putting ourselves in a box. But in this moment, if I totally give myself to the thought that, as Sri Aurobindo says, something mightier than you is busy working out your life. This moment she is planning for you. Whatever comes to you will come by her will. Whatever you don't get, it's her will, and it will serve your highest good. Then if you live in this moment, see, even just now as you're sitting, can you identify so many preferences you have? I like what's being said. No, I don't like it. It's going above my head. I relate to this. I wish she speaks more on this. Oh, I hope she doesn't say this. She all the time, there's constant, I like this, I don't like this. Can I sit in openness? Can I just sit knowing that this moment Mother is perfectly cooking with all the ingredients that I need? Let me let go of preferences. One moment also, can we live one moment of our life like this? If we surrender our conscious will and allow it to be made one with the will of the Eternal, then and only then shall we attain to a true freedom. This is also the only true freedom possible to man, a freedom which he cannot have unless he outgrows his mental separativeness and becomes the conscious soul in nature. Then he'll see this constant rain of grace drenching all existence. As long as we live with separation, this rain is there, but we are closing our doors to it. The moment we live in openness, see, it's our preferences that are the threads that weave our ego. Our ego survives on our choice, preferences, survives on willing things separate from the divine will. If we can for a moment also let go of preferences, automatically our sense of I becomes thin. Do you get it? Our sense of I gets strengthened with choices and preferences. But if I live in openness to the moment, knowing that this moment is a wonderful moment with every ingredient perfectly designed for my growth and joy by the Mother, automatically I'm less egoistic, less living with the sense of I. The only free will in the world is the one divine will of which nature is the executrix. I have the illusion that I have a free will. I don't. In Savitri, so beautifully, Mother is called our beloved despot. Despot means tyrant, because finally whatever we do, only her will comes to pass, because she has ultimate control. So why are we fighting her will? Her will is a will which nurtures us, which knows for us better than we know, and it wants the best for us better than what we want. So the only free will in the world is the one divine will of which nature is the executrix, for she is the master and creator of all other wills. Let's just take a moment, because this is like a total gem, and if we really imbibe this one teaching of Sri Aurobindo, it opens the key to so many doors. So as you're sitting just now, notice your thoughts. Most of your thoughts will be about rag and dvesh, attachment to the pleasant, aversion to the unpleasant. Suppose in this moment you just stay with your breath. You try to let go of your individual will of wanting this or wanting that, and you smile in gratitude to Mother for giving you this moment so perfectly shaped for you to be happy. Can I just take 3 breaths, grateful for this moment, without sullying it with my personal choice and preference? However it is, it's wonderful. It's her gift to me. By being grateful for it and happy in it, that is my gift back to her. Slowly open the eyes and try to maintain this poise. Your mind telling you this is good, drop it. Your mind telling you this is bad, drop it. Everything is her will, and beyond the polarities of my mind, every ingredient in this moment is perfectly as it needs to be. And slowly open your eyes. Does anyone have any observations, anything you want to share? How difficult or easy was it to do this? It wasn't difficult, good. But to sustain it is difficult because we'll keep forgetting.
So I told her to keep reminding me.
Yeah. That's why I keep doing these little practices in this space, because I keep remembering Mother's words. In this new house, she gave this message specially for this place, and if she's given it, she'll keep her word. Any ardent aspiration for the divine realization will be granted, something to that effect. So if we've asked for it here, by and by she'll grant it. Now we go further. Sri Aurobindo's words: desire, it is thought, is the real motive power of human living. Now he comes to the crux of it. See, that's the beauty of Gurudev. He doesn't just say something in the air. He says something, and step by step he tells you how to move towards it. So he's the most practical spiritual scientist that I've read. So scientific his spirituality is. So now he says, he knows our human condition. He says, desire, it is thought, is the real motive power of human living. And to cast it out would be to stop the springs of life. He knows that our happiness is based on desire. And if I tell you live without desire, my vital will go on a total strike, because then I'll feel there's nothing to be happy about. Would stop the springs of life. Satisfaction of desire is man's only enjoyment. He knows us so well. He's saying the way most of you live, satisfaction of your desires is your only enjoyment. And to eliminate it would be to extinguish the impulse of life by a quietistic asceticism. Then our vital will dry up. He recognizes that. But the real motive power of life, of the soul, is will. Listen to this carefully. It's a very subtle and important point. He thinks that our motive force is satisfaction of desire. But he's saying the real motive power of life, of the soul, is will, with a capital W. Which will is he talking about? The divine will. Desire is only a deformation of will in the dominant bodily life and physical mind. The essential turn of the soul to possession and enjoyment of the world consists in a will to delight. So that's what you were saying. Mansi was asking if this will with a capital W is aspiration. Aspiration is nothing but a will to delight, the self-existent delight of our God existence. So the enjoyment of the world consists in a will to delight, and the enjoyment of the satisfaction of craving is only a vital and physical degradation of the will to delight. It's like the way we live, every light will cast a shadow, right? The light of our psychic is the will to delight. That's the aspiration in the psychic. I want to find that self-existent joy which is not dependent on any outer condition, which is the very fabric of my being. But that light casts a shadow and becomes the vital craving of desire. Do you understand? So a poet once beautifully said, every desire is an excuse for God. I actually want to reclaim my God self, but because in my ignorant state I'm not able to do it, that will to find self-existent delight, which is who I really am, gets distorted into trying to fulfill desires through objects outside. Do you get it? It's a very important point. It is essential that we should distinguish between pure will and desire. So beautiful. So I want to, suppose I'm young and I want a partner, and I think that if I get a partner, I'll be happy. Or I'm a parent and I want the love of my child, which I'm not getting, and I think that if I get that love, I'll be happy. Yes, it's true, mother does want us to have outer fulfillment, but not by chasing it, by having a state within us where we don't do anything. It just comes to us. So there's a beautiful saying, don't chase the butterfly, clean the garden, the butterfly will come. Do you get it? If your inner state is a dirty garden, butterflies won't come. Dirty means unconscious. But if you just clean the garden, the butterfly will come. Everything you need to make your outer life rich will come to you if you enrich yourself in the inner life. So if you, suppose you're thinking that I'll be happy only if I get a partner, Adya, if I'll be happy only if I get a partner, then acknowledge that yes, I would like a partner, and mother will give me a partner if it's meant to make my life fuller and more fulfilling. But let me understand that the partner can't make me happy, because if I'm looking for a partner so that he makes me happy, or if I'm looking to spend time with my child thinking that if she gives me the kind of affection and attention I want, then I'll be happy, then that is a wrong premise. I have to find the happiness inside me and already be happy, then enjoy the partner, and then enjoy the child, and then enjoy everything else. So that's what, whenever I have this deep craving that so and so, this object of desire outside me, if it happens, then I'll be happy. Let me remind myself, no, that's a wrong condition for happiness. That can't make me happy. Yes, I'm not saying no to it. I want my outer life to blossom. It will come. But let me first be happy even in its absence. That's cleaning my garden. If I clean my garden, the butterfly will come. I don't need to run out and chase it.
But sometimes some desires, it's like we think for some time and then next day we forget. It's like
So the question was, some desires come and they go. That's fine, but it's always nice to work with desires consciously when they arise, because if you don't bring consciousness to them, they'll make a samskar, and those desires will keep coming back to you more strongly and more often. So every time the desire arises, you bring consciousness to it, you're weakening its samskar in you. So this is a beautiful line. He says, it is essential that we should distinguish between pure will and desire, between the inner will to delight. Remember, this is a beautiful term, inner will to delight, and the outer lust and craving of the mind and body. Whenever I'm caught up in the outer lust and craving of the mind and body, remind yourself, this is just a distortion of the inner will to delight. I actually want mother, I actually want my own truth, but because I'm not able to access it, I'm thinking this will satisfy it and that will satisfy it, and it never will. It's trying to quench your thirst with salt water. The more you drink it, the thirstier you'll get. So, Sri Aurobindo further says, to be constantly governed by the divine, a constant aspiration for that is the first thing. The first thing is a constant aspiration for the divine. See, to be governed by the divine is to make my will one with the supreme will. And he has said that the only freedom in human existence is to give up my individual will and make it one with the supreme will. Then that supreme will constantly govern my life. But in order to be governed by the divine, by this will, we need a constant aspiration, a constant inner turn that wants the mother, that wants that self-existent joy more than anything else. So beautiful practice is when I really want something to remind myself, no, but I want the mother more. I want that shirt on online shopping, and before I press the button, put my hand on my heart and say, no, but I want the mother more. Actually, I want the mother, but I think that getting that shirt online will give me the happiness which it won't. Or I want a call from that person, but I want the mother more, but I want the mother more. Whenever any desire is controlling me, but I want the mother more. A constant aspiration for that is the first thing. Next, a sort of stillness within, and a drawing back from the outward action into the stillness, and a sort of listening expectancy, not for a sound, but for the spiritual feeling. Beautiful. My God, how he hits the nail on the head. Let's understand what he's saying. To be constantly governed by the divine, we need to have a constant aspiration as a first thing. Two conditions. A constant aspiration. Now, I'm saying for the mother, but mother is not just that face. If we've experienced moments of wideness and joy and connection and inner vision, you want to go back to that state. Mother is really a state of being. It's not a person outside you. That person is just to help you to tap into that state of being inside. So, a constant aspiration for that. And two, a sort of stillness within. A drawing back from outward action, standing back from your thoughts into the stillness, and a sort of listening expectancy. Like you're listening, I'm listening, not for a sound outside, but for a feel inside me. Not for a sound, but a spiritual feeling. You all understand this. If you've been with the mother, when you're meditating or concentrating, you're listening for that feel to arise from inside you, or a direction of the consciousness that comes through the psychic. Yeah? The progressive surrender of our ignorant personal will and its merger into a greater divine, or on the highest summit's greatest supreme will, is the whole secret of Karma Yoga. Okay, the whole secret of Karma Yoga is a surrender of our ignorant personal will and its merger into the greater divine or the highest summits, the greatest supreme will, to bring about the conditions in which alone this vast and happy identity becomes possible. And to work out the lines we must follow to their end if we are to reach it is all the deeper purpose of this discipline. The first condition is the elimination of personal vital desire. Look, that's a very big goal, but we can take our baby steps towards it. Even that will help. Even the tiniest micro step we take in that direction, even that helps. So the first condition is the elimination of personal vital desire. For if desire intervenes, all harmony with the supreme will becomes impossible. If I'm constantly living out of my egoistic desire, that desire will constantly create disharmony with the supreme will. So 2-3 classes back, I read out Mother's words which explains this beautifully. She says that suppose supreme will creates a vibration. Now she is the supreme will. So she said, suppose I tell a person, give that to be. That's my supreme will. But a person's desire receives that supreme will and thinks, I'm giving you an example. This is not exactly what Mother says, but she said something to the effect, suppose that a person's desire comes in and says, no, Mother's given this, I'll keep it for myself. I won't give it to B. So that sets up a vibration which distorts the supreme will. Whereas Mother telling A, give this to B, if A gave it to B without questions, without desires, then he would also profit from it and B would also profit from it. But when our desire comes in and creates disharmony with the supreme will, that's when there are glitches in our life. Sri Aurobindo writes in Life Divine, I think, or Synthesis, I think Life Divine, all problems of existence are essentially problems of harmony. And where does this disharmony come from? It comes from a dissonance between the supreme will being refracted and distorted in the medium of our desires and becoming something else. So, to give up all desire, all insistence upon fruit and reward and success must be renounced from our will, and all vital attachment to the work itself excised from our nature. For attachment makes it our own and no longer the Godhead's. It's a very difficult task, but let's make our baby steps towards it. To try and drop desire, small desires. Every time we drop it, Mother says to let go of a desire gives you more joy than to fulfill it. Because every time you fulfill a desire, you strengthen the ego. Every time you transcend a desire, the self with a capital S comes forward. And every time the self comes forward, the nature of the self is joy. So you start feeling that self-existent joy every time you transcend a desire. So this is a very beautiful story. We all know Abraham Lincoln, right? He led the Allies against Hitler in World War II. And Sri Aurobindo has many times said that he didn't even know, I don't know if he knew of Sri Aurobindo's existence, but that doesn't matter. Sri Aurobindo many times said he's my most perfect instrument. Because in Lincoln's life, we see many instances where he didn't act out of personal ambition and desire, but he was obviously impelled by a supreme will. Like There was one time, there was one story in his life when he was about to get into a car from this side door, and something in his heart made him go that side and get in from this door. And then the car met with an accident on this side, and later on they asked him that, how did you know? So he said, I don't know, I just felt it in my heart. And very often the words he would say during his speeches, Sri Aurobindo has implied that he would plant them into his head. Because the World War II was really the mother's war, no? The mother and Sri Aurobindo were very, very active in that.
Abraham Lincoln, no?
Yeah.
So he was 19th century.
So?
Yeah, this is a different
Yeah,
guy.
it's another Lincoln, it must be.
I thought the US president.
US president died in 1860-65, somewhere around that.
So what are you talking? US?
Just not
Lincoln only, yeah.
President.
Yeah, what are you saying?
But his name was Winston Churchill.
That is UK.
That is
Lincoln was
Abraham
US.
Lincoln was not there.
US.
World War II.
Lincoln
Okay.
was US.
Lincoln.
Churchill was UK.
Sorry, I'm talking about Churchill. So this story that I'm telling you about is about Churchill, about the car accident and the words he put. Sorry, you're absolutely right, my confusion. So that was Churchill. He was the one who was Sri Aurobindo's instrument. This is another story, you're right. This is about Lincoln. But again, we see the same kind of thing where he was controlled by a higher power. Lincoln was endowed with a keen and wide intelligence, but he was not an intellectual by temperament. He was basically a man of action who led from his heart, one of the most prominent qualities of his personality, which made him an enduring leader in his Himalayan magnanimity. When Lincoln was pursuing his career as a lawyer, Stanton deprived Lincoln of a lucrative offer from a client by talking ill of Lincoln and persuading the client to give the assignment to him. Stanton told the client, "Why did you bring that long-armed ape here? He does not know anything and does no good." However, Lincoln remained in the court to see Stanton representing his client. So Lincoln was, somebody had just insulted him, but instead of leaving, he stood back to see the skill of Stanton as a lawyer. Lincoln listened with rapt attention and was very much impressed by Stanton's talent as a lawyer and his dedication to his profession and his client. Later, when Lincoln became president and met Stanton after 6 years, he offered Stanton the most powerful and important post as the Secretary of War. Now, I find this amazing. If somebody had so blatantly cut your throat, harmed you, insulted you, you would not want him as part of your team because you would see that person as a threat. But look at the wideness of Lincoln, that the same person, because he knew that Stanton would help the upliftment of the country, he had capacities and intelligence to do it, he brought him into his. So that is the greater common good. And when we are functioning beyond our personal desires, then we are functioning for the greater common good. So Godwin regards the singular ability to transcend personal vendetta, humiliation and bitterness as one of the great leadership qualities of Lincoln. Lincoln's magnanimity was not confined to his VIP colleagues but flowed equally to all people. So now coming back to Sri Aurobindo, our individualized nature must live. So I'm just giving you an example of how a human being can act from a motive beyond his ambition and personal desire for the greater common good. Our individualized nature must live in the single consciousness of an inner and outer movement dedicated to something that is beyond us and greater than our ego. no matter what the gift or to whom it is presented by us, there must be a consciousness in the act that we are presenting it to the one divine being in all beings. Our commonest, our most grossly material actions must assume the sublimated character. When we eat, we should be conscious that we are giving our food to the presence inside us. It must be a sacred offering in a temple, and the sense of a mere physical need or self-gratification must pass away. Oh, and there's this beautiful, beautiful story. There was a woman who worked for the queen. The queen trusted her very much. While sweeping the queen's room, sometimes the woman found pearls or gold beads which would have fallen from the queen's several necklaces and other jewelry. She faithfully restored them to the queen. The queen was so pleased with her that she let her keep a few such precious things for herself. The woman's little son lived in his maternal uncle's house in a distant village. It was because the uncle was a teacher and a number of boys lived with him for their education. Yeah, so this woman who worked for the queen, her son lived in his maternal uncle's house in a distant village, and one day the boy returned to his parents. At night he saw the pearls and gold beads his mother had stored. "How beautiful these are," he exclaimed, handling those glittering objects. "They are beautiful, but my son, only if you see the queen adorned with similar and more precious things, you'll know what true beauty is," commented the boy's mother. "She is the most beautiful of anything I've known." The boy fell silent and appeared absorbed in some thought. He was missing in the morning. The anxious parents began looking for him. Neighbors also cooperated with them in their search for the boy, but he was not to be found. Years later, the mother received a message from her lost son. "Mother, I had heard from my uncle that the sun, the moon, the stars, the sky were all ornaments of God. Your statement that while the ornaments were beautiful, the queen who put them on was much more beautiful, suddenly inspired in me a different urge. The sun, the moon, the stars are so beautiful. How magnificent must be God whom they adorn. I went out in search of him. You will be happy to learn that I have found him. He is so magnificent that words cannot describe his charm." The mother wept, but she was also happy that her son had achieved what only few could. So, in this story, the ornaments are our objects of desire. Yeah, what we were talking about. But when we get carried away by those ornaments, we should always remember that God is always more beautiful than any of them. Like he realized that the sun, moon, all are objects which adorn God, but God is so much more beautiful than any of them. The master of works does not wait till the end of a long and difficult journey to meet the seeker of yoga and put his secret or half-shown hand upon him and upon his life and actions. There are relations personal, intimate as life itself, sweet as love, encompassing like the sky, deep like waters. A friend walks at our side. A lover is with us in our heart's secrecy. A master of the work and the ordeal points our way. A creator of things uses us as his instrument. We are in the arms of the eternal Mother. All these more seizable aspects in which the ineffable meets us are truths and not mere helpful symbols or useful imaginations. But as we progress, their first imperfect formulations in our experience yield to a larger vision of the one truth that is behind them. Now we come to this passage that begins with naturally. These are Mother's words. Naturally, when we begin to think of all the zones, all the planes of universal consciousness, and that it is at the very end, right at the very end, then it becomes very far away, very, very far. So somebody asked Mother that if God is everywhere, he seems to be very far from us. So she replies that when we think of all the zone, he seems very far away. But when we think that he is everywhere, that he is everything, and that it is only our perception that prevents us from seeing him and feeling him, and that we have only to do this, Mother turns her hands inwards. It is a movement like this and like that. Mother turns her hands alternatively inwards and outwards. It becomes very concrete. You do this outward movement, everything becomes artificial, hard, dry, false, untrue, artificial. You do this inward movement, everything becomes wide, tranquil, luminous, peaceful, vast, joyful. So beautifully she hits the nail on the head. When we are living externalized, then everything seems hard, dry, everything feels like a chore. But the moment we go in, everything becomes luminous, peaceful, vast, joyful. And it is simply this that the Mother turns her hands alternately inwards and outwards. How? Where? It cannot be described. It is only a movement of consciousness, nothing else. A movement of consciousness and the difference between the true and false consciousness. So this is Draupadi's story, right? During her Vastraharan. When she later on met Krishna, she told him that why did you take so long to come to my rescue? I had to call you so many times. And Krishna asked her, how did you pray to me? So she said, first, I said, oh Krishna, Lord of the universe, please come to my rescue. If you think I'm out there in the universe, I take time to come. Second time you said, oh Krishna, Dwarkadish, Lord of Dwarka, come. I got a little closer. But the third time you say, oh Krishna, Lord of my heart, and I came immediately. So when you called me from inside you, I come immediately. So this story has a great impact on us. When we are in moments of difficulty, this story is telling us not to turn to a God who is outside us, but to the presence which is inside us and call it to our rescue. And the moment we do that, everything becomes fluid and beautiful and joyful. And moment we are outside, Mother says, the same universe we are seeing looks hard and dry and difficult to deal with. But this presence is in all things. It's a vibration, but it's a vibration that contains everything. A vibration which contains a kind of infinite power, infinite delight and infinite peace, of vastness, vastness, vastness. There are no limits. And it is only a vibration. It does not, O Lord, It cannot be thought, so it cannot be said. If you think, as soon as you think, the whole muddle begins. That's why one cannot speak. Now somebody asked the mother, I did not quite understand what you meant by saying Sri Aurobindo performed miracles in the mind. Yeah, somebody asked mother this question. I mean that he used to introduce the supramental force into the mental consciousness. Into the mental consciousness that governs all material movements. He would introduce a supramental formation of power or force which immediately changed the organization. This produces immediate effects which seem illogical because they do not follow the normal course of movements according to mental logic. He himself used to say that when he was in possession of the supramental power, when he could use it at will and focus it on a specific point with a definite purpose, it was irrevocable, inevitable, the effect was absolute. That can be called a miracle. For example, take someone who was sick or in pain. When Sri Aurobindo was in possession of this supramental power, there was a time when he said it was completely under his control. That is, he could do what he wanted with it. He could apply it where he liked. Then he would apply his will, for example, to some disorder, either physical or vital or of course mental. He would apply this force of greater harmony, of greater order, this supramental force, and focus it there, and it would act immediately. And it was an order, it created an order, a harmony greater than the natural harmony. That is, if it was a case of healing, for example, the healing would be more perfect and more complete than any obtained in ordinary physical and mental methods. There were great many of them. So we very often, I know 3-4 people who tell me that they went to Pandi and they would go to the Samadhi every day, and if they had a knee pain, or I remember one girl had a sort of growth on this palm which wasn't healing from anything, and when she came back from Pandi it had disappeared. She didn't realize it, and later on she told me, I know I was touching the Samadhi every day and maybe that made it happen. So it's not that Sri Aurobindo did this only when he was in this body. He's doing this all the time. There were a great many of them, but people are so blind. Mother says there were a great many miracles, but people are so blind, so embedded in their ordinary consciousness that they always give explanations. They can always give an explanation. Only those who have faith and aspiration and something very pure in them, who truly want to know, they were able to perceive it. And when this power was there, he even used to say that it was effortless. All he had to do was to apply the supramental power of order and harmony, and instantly the desired result was achieved. So Sri Aurobindo and the mother are constantly working these miracles in our mind, isn't it? So often we are in such a terrible state, and either we come here or we connect with them, and suddenly nothing may change immediately outside, but we feel lifted. So who knows from what dimension, what force they are using, but they are putting their force into our mind constantly if we open to it. And this last piece by the mother, it's a marvel. It is so beautiful. Those of you who were in the morning class, you'll recognize that our whole class was based on this piece. So mother says, if one considers the life and action and heart of men as they are, one would have every right to be surprised at all the hatred, contempt, or at best the indifference which are returned, for this immensity of love which the divine grace pours upon the world. So we started by saying that there's a constant rain of grace coming down into the earth, right? But most of us are indifferent to it, or we don't know it, and we judge our life by what we see. So we feel ungrateful. This shouldn't have happened. I'm not mother's favorite because this happened. So at best, indifference which are returned for this immensity of love which the divine grace pours upon the world, for this immensity of love which acts upon the world at every second to lead it towards the divine delight, and which finds so poor a response in the human heart. Because most of us are unconscious of the grace, or we take it for granted. We very rarely pause to say thank you, very rarely. But people have compassion only for the wicked, the deficient, the misshapen, for the unsuccessful ones and the failure. Truly it is an encouragement to wickedness and failure. If one thought a little more of this aspect of the problem, perhaps one would have less need to insist on the necessity of returning love for hatred. So Christ's common teaching is love your enemy. But Mother says, first learn to love what loves you, then think of loving what hates you. We don't even love what loves us with gratitude. Even people close to us who love us, we take it for granted. We don't take a moment to thank the person for the love. And further, Mother says to love grace, the source of all this. So because if the human heart, and this is the key, this is what we based our morning class on, because if the human heart responded in all sincerity to the love that is being poured into it with spontaneous gratitude of a love which understands and appreciates, then things would change quickly in the world. So she's saying that I'm pouring grace into you all the time. But if you responded to that grace with gratitude and received it with gratitude, how much quicker all my workings would be. So that is the thing. Do I respond back to grace with gratitude? So in little things can I be grateful. I see a beautiful flower. Do I remember to thank Mother, because Mother labored for centuries to give me this gift? A single rose, do we ever think, we look at these flowers, how many centuries Mother was laboring to create this beauty? Or if Mother compliments us through someone, because everyone's the mother, it's the mother complimenting us. Do I thank Mother for giving me that quality which was being complimented, or do I receive it with arrogance? Nothing I have is mine, it's all her gift. Anything I do well is her gift, anything I receive is her gift. Do I remember to say a heartfelt thank you? And if I do, then I'll receive more and more, because this is a beautiful key Mother has given us. If you receive the grace I'm constantly showering you with gratitude, then my grace works much more. Yeah? So keeping this in mind, let's conclude with 3 Ohms.